Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show today. My guest is Chiliboy Ralepelle. So I know there's been controversy around him in the media following his doping ban of 8 years, but my philosophy in sports psychology is to treat every athlete as a person first and to understand the backstory of that person and kind of the mental process that lead to the decisions that they take. So firstly, I would love to get his side of the story. I'm giving him a platform to speak openly and freely. And after that, we could make judgments based on what he's given us. But it would be very interesting to find out, what leads rugby players to making certain decisions. International sportsmen, in fact, what are the pressures they're going through? What are some of the mental stresses that they deal with that we maybe aren't aware of, and how do they deal with that constant expectation, expectation from fans, from coaches, from players for returning from injury, living up to their contracts and their sponsors. So without further ado, I'm very excited for this episode. Please enjoy my discussion with Chiliboy Ralepelle.
Just listen.
And on top of the game, meaning that you've got so much responsibility. Remember, you become the hope of the nation. So, mustn't forget, you are carrying that on your shoulder.
Good morning, Chiliboy. How are you doing, brother?
Good morning, Nick. Thank you for having me. It's such a wonderful opportunity to be on this platform. So now all doing well and surviving under the current conditions. So can't complain much.
Oh, that's good to know, man. Yeah, thanks. I mean, it's a pleasure to have you, but it's a privilege to have you on because I've followed you when I was in primary school. You were playing first team at Pretoria Boys, and my brother had just gone to Pretoria Boys, and I think he was grade 8 when you were in matric. And I mean, we used to watch those games thinking we're going to go to Pretoria Boys one day, and these guys were all heroes, So I've followed your career since then, and it's been cool to see everything that's happened with you. So well done on that.
No, thanks a lot. I mean, that is just the grace of God. I mean, for starters, you actually make me feel so old. Actually, not that old, but thank you. I mean, Pretoria Boys was a great school, and I think probably enjoyed life there more than what the outside world had to offer. But I guess it also shaped me for who I am today. So yeah.
Can we start off with a little bit about that? So one of the questions that, I don't know if you know this, but I put out to some guys on Instagram and stuff, they can ask questions that they would like me to ask you. And one was, your kind of backstory and how you got to Pretoria Boys and just your life story that led to you going to that school and then how that shaped you.
Yeah, no, it's, again, like there's stories that are kind of untold behind this. And me, when I look back, it's almost like it's like a dream come true in a way. So I came from a very, I mean, back in the day, we called it Platteland. I came from Hoedspruit, so directly from Hoedspruit. I went to apply at Pretoria Boys. But before that, you'll not believe. So I stepped into Office to go and apply at Office before I go to Pretoria Boys.
Okay.
They know me then. I was advised by Pierre Edwards, who was the headmaster then at Office. So he said, "No, listen, go over to the school, just on the hill. Yeah, I'll call the headmaster, set up a meeting with you guys, so you guys can go see him." And he did set up a meeting, and we went to go see Uncle Bill Schroeder there. Then when we got there, unfortunately, we actually kind of we're a bit late with our applications. It was almost like closing of the applications of the new Form 1s. And so what Schroeder just said, so I'm going to call one of the parents. And I can't remember the guy's name clearly. I mean, he used to live, I think they were from Middelburg, and they were supposed to come into one of the houses, which was Rissick House, because he said there's no way that that you can be a daily, because it's not going to work out. You come all the way from Hoedspruit to here. It's not going to work out traveling. And also, I haven't even arranged anything with my cousins that are living there. So it would have been very difficult to try and get something sorted out then. So then he actually had to call one of the parents just to inform them that there was a mistake in the application. This is a story that's not told. And Uncle Bull, I don't think he probably doesn't sleep well. And hopefully this will kind of set him free to sleep well at night.
Yeah.
So those are kind of decisions that he made for me to get into the school. And he just said, listen, my boy, I think it would be a great opportunity for you to be in the school, and really is something that can actually shape the person who you are, which you could use. That is pretty impressive with my personality. I don't know how much then, but Uncle Bill just had a smile for good people.
Yeah. And I know Uncle Bill was one of the great headmasters I think this country has had, and he ran that school like a tight ship, and it was probably the best years of Pretoria boys. Am I correct in saying that?
No, definitely. I think if you look at the guy of his caliber, is that one thing that he did. I mean, I sometimes look back, like, what did he do so great? I mean, as a leader, because sometimes you as a leader, you also want to reference some other leaders, and
Yes.
and one thing that he made you feel like you belong, even though, like, not. I mean, if you think about it, there were over 1,500 boys, but yet he could somehow remember some of the boys. I'm not saying he remembered all 1,500 names. And you'll be walking down the corridors and he'll just call you by name. Hey, Ralepelle, or hey, Mguni, or hey, Fenta, listen. So those things for me, it's actually, it's making one feel they belong. And the moment, and as much as we speak of leadership, so the moment you look beyond it, then you're losing your audience, or you're losing your people. But the first thing is that people need to feel that they belong. Then from there, by them feeling that they belong, they're able to make the best out of the position that they're in, and you're able to get the best results out of the individual.
Yeah. Well, it's cool that you've mentioned that, because one of the key psychological factors people say that you need to have a healthy mental well-being is to feel like you belong to whichever group or society or community you find yourself in. So that's very cool.
Yeah. No. I mean, definitely. I mean, if you look at Pretoria Boys' Eye and the diversity of culture, is that it's unbelievable. I mean, I remember at break times, you'd walk to the black wall, you'd walk to the Chinese table, you'd walk to the Greek table, you'd walk to the Buddha. So it was like, it was so diverse in culture, but yet people were able to melt and be one and appreciate each other's cultures from where we come from.
Yeah.
And that for me, it was probably one of the greatest things that I could take out of the leave of Pretoria Boys.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we just track your story a bit, so you went to Pretoria Boys in grade 8. Did you decide to go to one of those schools, Affries or Pretoria Boys, for rugby, or was it just to get into one of the good schools in Pretoria?
Well, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know what a good or bad school was, because coming from the Platinum, just all you know is that, okay, there's these great schools. People speak of the schools. Like I didn't have a cousin or someone in my family that had gone through the school, the Pretoria Boys schooling system. So I had no history background of the school at all. So the first day I stepped into Pretoria Boys, that was my day one of learning the history of Pretoria Boys and understanding that the both schools, Affries and Boys Eye, and the relationship with both schools that shared and the values and stuff like that. So I was very privileged in a way, or very lucky, I must say, to be able to attend such school.
Yeah, I know for sure. And then going into, Form 2, Form 3, and up to matric, you obviously became quite a known guy around for being a very good rugby player. I know you played for the provincial sides. Was there pressure early on for you, being this kind of known, this guy is going to make it one day?
Well, the funny thing is that when you're there at that space is that you don't think about what the future holds. You just live the now. So I kind of to adapt and teach myself to live the now and be in the now, be present, and not even worry about the future. I mean, anything could have happened. I get to matric and my knee goes, and that's the end of my career, or your leg, or you'll break your leg, or something happens. So that for me, it was not even anywhere close to my mind. Yes, we still have dreams, because it's important to have a dream and to aspire. Luckily, there were guys like John Smith, I mean, that had come through the Pretoria Boys Eye system, that you could kind of, he came from the system and he played rugby. So maybe there could be a channel way for one to be able to make a living out of the sport. So, and having great mentors, having mates around that kind of were able to work with you and able to push you every morning. I mean, I remember some mornings where I couldn't get up, and one of my mates sleeping next to me, just like nudge my bed, like, get up, let's go train at like 5 a.m. I mean, 5 a.m. in Pretoria's winters is not the most glorious days to wake up to. So, but you wake up and you get frostbite, you go train, and you come back, you come back and you back at school with your mates. So for me, it was more just enjoying the time, the camaraderie with the people that were around you.
Yeah, I hear you. So when in that process, maybe only after school, did you realize, well, this is now my career, I'm doing this professionally?
Well, I think where for me it clicked is when the Bulls came in. I was actually in matric, my first term in matric. The Bulls came and said, listen, we want to sign you up, and we're going to sign a contract today. And I was like, even Uncle Bill was like, no, it's not the right thing to do, because you must still go through matric.
Yeah.
So you kind of been put already under pressure at that age, where I felt, you're overwhelmed. So as a youngster, you're overwhelmed, and you're getting 5,000 rand, whatever a month that's just paid into your account, and you think, well, I'm earning something and I'm still at school. So surely that means there could be this could be a journey that one can step into. So that's where everything started.
Did you have someone helping you manage your finances as an 18-year-old earning a salary?
The funny thing is, I wish I had someone. It's almost like I always say to my wife, is that the saddest thing about contract and contracting youngsters from a young age is that you've got no clue. So now I give you an example. So you sign someone first year out of school. You give them, I mean, the contract today they're ridiculous. So a guy will earn maybe 50,000 rand at 19 a month. So you give a 19-year-old that. So what do you think that 19-year-old is going to? First of all, he's overwhelmed. Secondly, he's like, well, I'm on top of the world, in a way. Then why does he start? Then the ill discipline kicks in, because now you're forgetting, because lots of people just think discipline is only when you are in between the four lines. But unfortunately, discipline is not. It's not what you do between the four lines. Everything it's a ripple effect. What you do on and off the field has a major mental effect on your performance in the field. And people don't understand that. So for the system to have structures in place whereby these youngsters are able to be managed financially, they'll say, if I was a union, I'm like, okay, we're going to pay you 50,000 rand, but what we're going to do is that we're going to pay you a tenth of that money. That will be your pocket money. Then the other 10, the union has opened an investment account, because at this moment you don't need that money. Well, unless, obviously, for me, what I used most of the money, I did save most of the money, and some of it I helped my family in the meantime. Understand? So wherever they needed financial help and stuff, I was able to provide for them already at the age of 19. So those responsibility, yes, I'm not saying don't help your family. I'm not saying don't help those that need the help, but I'm just saying that it could be easily, people could be easily taught. That could put structures in place to help these youngsters. And I think the unions are just as responsible as an individual, because you can't give someone 50,000 rand and expect them to save the whole 50,000 rand for the whole month. I mean, first of all, your food is paid for at that age. Your accommodation is paid for. So if you're already living within the camp of the stadium, or whether it's a Sharks Academy, or whether it's the Bulls Academy, is that it's a walking distance to the training field. Yeah. It's a walking distance to your shopping centers. You can, I mean, nowadays there's Uber. You can just take an Uber and go to, you don't need to buy a car. You don't need to finance yourself a car, finance yourself. I mean, rather save your money or invest in property. Find opportunities in properties where you can, okay, there's guys that are building and they then invest there with the developers. Okay, I'm willing to I can put 1,000, 1 rand a day or 1 rand a month. That's what I can put, and I'll have to make a contribution and invest and put as part of my investment in that. So when it grows, then your money also grows. So yeah, and it's a very good question that you asked.
Yeah, because I had a conversation with a guy called Alex Shaim, who's a player agent, more in football and cricket. But one of the questions was, whose responsibility is that? Because a 19-year-old doesn't know, and he doesn't necessarily have parents or a mentor that can help him. So is it the agent or is it the union? You know, whose responsibility is it to educate these young players?
Well, I mean, if you've got an agent at that age, where for me, I never had an agent till, I'm not gonna lie to you, I never had an agent till the age of 26, 27 in my career.
Yeah.
So I was a free agent all along. And I was just hard because I knew some good business people that I would interact with and kind of engage. And if there's something on the table where there's motivational speaking and helping out with the youngsters in different, that I'll just step on that, and they'll just pay me a fee, like they're willing to pay you X amount. I mean, I don't have any good negotiation skills, but sometimes, okay, well, it's enough. I'll take that and I'll just save it and just pay my plate of food, and I'll pay for my transport, and I'll get there and I'll do what I need to do, because it's almost in a way, it's a feel good thing. Also, you're giving back to people. So yeah. Yes, back to your question. It is, I believe, first of all, if you've got an agent, it is the agent's full responsibility to making sure that the player is taken care of. I'm talking about the whole 9 yards. When I speak of the whole 9 yards, Nick, I'm saying from your financials to your budgeting, to not basic needs, basic skills of needs, to investments, to your to get it, whether you need a vehicle, how do you put structure to get your vehicle, and when you're injured, how do we find the best rehab centers in the world to put you in there and put you under that administration, to making sure that you come back twice as strong. So it's all of these things. It's not only the union. Yes, the union also has a responsibility, but the union, remember, for them, it's like a money-making machine, and I always relate the unions to a bus station. So for them, they're driving a bus, and on every bus station, they're like bus drivers. In every bus station, whoever the next crop of talent hops in, yeah, and whoever falls out jumps out. It moves on. It doesn't go in reverse. Always moving forward. So yes, it is solemnly, I'll say it's an agent responsibility to making sure that players are taken care of.
Yeah, well, I think that's a very good analogy, because you see so many young players that go through signing a contract at 18, and then maybe let's use Cohen Bosch as an example. Very young player that when he signed, and luckily I think he had an agent from an early age, but the pressures then on him to just stay on that bus the whole time is so high. And at any time with an injury, with some off-field issue, you can fall off the bus, or you don't have the strong mind and you're spending all your cash and your lifestyle changes, but that bus doesn't wait for you. So you've got to have your own structures as an individual, your own mentors, your own support structure, because the unions can't care for each individual.
No, exactly, which is very sad, because if you look at the American system, I mean, I'm a big believer of the American system. I mean, they've got it working for them. It's working, and we can see that. It doesn't need a blind man to see that it's working. I believe it's working, and if you see how they're working, is that I think one of the most important crop that we don't touch on it's a mental side of the game. It's a psychological side. Your psychological being is that, like when I look now in America, the draft system is that more and more they're looking at your psychological being. When I went to Canada to do my rehab after my last injury, when Toulouse sent me over to Canada, is that I realized there again that the professor at McGill University, he just said to me, "Listen, Chills, it's not about, listen, I can get you ready tomorrow. We can get you strong tomorrow, but we need to get your mind strong tomorrow. I mean, today, so that it can face the challenges of tomorrow."
Yeah.
So we don't look at these things, and it bombards me. It's almost like now, it's like you invite a sports psychologist to come speak to the players, thinking the players will just, regular players are always like, they'll sit there and like, they'll start moaning, oh, blah, 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 blah. And they don't understand the importance of it. And when I looked around, and you look around and like, guys, we are missing the boat. Do you actually know what visualization is? Then they're like, well, you just visualize. Like, no, visualization. After your game on Saturday, close the chapter on Sunday, obviously recap what could have been better. When you step in on Monday, you should already visualize who you're playing against the weekend. You should play that, because your body only is controlled by what the thought processes are. Remember, they call it an instinct, an instinct thing. So for instinct to kick in, it's that memory that you're creating for those instincts to know, to remember, just in that moment of time, yes, I need to hit this gap. Because you don't see anything. There's so much traffic on the field that's going on that you actually play by instinct.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you had to compare our systems in South Africa to, let's say, those in France, is there a clear difference in that? Do they pay more attention to it overseas, or is it the same all around?
Well, the funny thing is, so there's two ships here. So in France, yes, there's more money and all of that. And yes, the unions, I believe the unions are professionally, there's a professional structure, but where we are above them, it's almost on the training end of things. So we're complementing all our mental side of the game for training. So we still believe, work harder, like you must run till you throw up or till you puke. You must understand. You must feel the taste of blood in your mouth. There's time for that. There's time and place for that. I'm not saying, listen, when you train, there's time and place for that. You're gonna face the All Blacks, and they're gonna make you run for 6 minutes ball and play, where you're gonna, like, after 3 minutes you're gonna start seeing stars. That's when that's gonna kick in. But then it's almost like, it's the system there. It was so professional behind the scene. I just felt just more professional behind the scene, and how they make it. So if you look at, if you look at the true psychological side of it. So when I say South Africa is like, yes, Nick, you had it was okay today. Next time, pick it up next time. Be better next time. Better luck. It's a South African talk. Painting. You go to France, you had a bad game. The coach, oh, merde, meaning it was rubbish. Like, he will tell you straight, it was rubbish game. It's not what I expected from you. Then reassess yourself. And on the other hand, when you had a brilliant game, they feel you contributed so much to the team, the coach will come and say, listen, there's a bottle of wine, whether you like wine, there's a bottle of wine. Go home, buy yourself, I'm vegan now, so buy yourself a good potato and put it on the grill, and enjoy your wine with your potato, or the sweet potato. So, and come back. I'll tell you when to come back. Come back on the Wednesday or the Thursday. But I don't want to see you anywhere near the stadium.
Yeah.
So what is he doing? He's giving himself time to just. It's like, this guy's worked so much. You can't just. We're not automated machines that just can just keep on. You can't. You need time to just pull back, the reassessing, then come step up again. Yeah. So those were the two schools for me. So they're different between the two schools.
Yeah, I found it interesting that you said you did your rehab in Canada. So they sent you from France to Canada to do rehab.
correct.
And that's all.
So
Sorry, that's all paid for by the union.
So a portion of it was paid by the union, and a portion was paid by the player.
Okay.
Got rehab centers in France, like Cabreton. There's the big rehab center in Bordeaux. You can Google that. It's actually it's amazing. I said that's always been my dream. Like I wish South Africa had centers like that, where it's just purely on rehab. You won't believe it. Like I mean, superstars, Ronaldo, Messi, and these guys, they go to these centers to do their rehabs, and the control, supervise, professionalize environments.
Yeah.
So going to Canada, actually the trainer, he said you could go to Cabreton, which I did spend a few days in France. But he said I also want you to go try. There's a new methodology that's being applied in training in Canada.
Yeah.
And that's why I met one of the top trainers there, Dev Chatterjee. He's top. I mean, he trained. This guy was with Manny Pacquiao. He trained those guys. So he's one of those guys that was with the team and training those type of athletes. And lots of NFL players, lots of NHL players, and baseball players. I mean, it's just the list goes on of the amount of athletes that he's trained all across the world. So it's for me, it was just great to be in an environment like him, because he was a guy that. So he did the whole. He was a physio, osteotherapy. He was a dietitian. He was a physical trainer. So he had his PhDs in all of these.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
top of the game, yeah.
No, exactly. So this guy knew exactly what he's doing and what he's talking about. I mean, first time he looked at me, he's like, "Oh, what are you? Are you a rugby player or what?" Because he knew nothing about rugby. He's like, "What sport? Rugby?" So look at your body. No, I need to fix that body.
Yeah.
It's important for people to give you a true reflection of yourself in the mirror. We can't be in South Africa. We can't be painting over things nowadays, Nick. It can't be. Whether it's a discussion of color, black and white, you can't be painting it. Discuss it and talk about it and find solution to move on and reconcile in a sense. So it's important.
So I mean, if we can use that as a segue into you playing international sport now. So you were the first black captain for the Springboks, right? And it was kind of a label put on you at quite a young age. Do you feel that was a bit of a burden for you, or was it just a massive honor and you didn't really feel the pressure of that, or was that pressure quite hectic for you?
Well, I think, first of all, if I'd have said it was a burden on me, then it would be like I selected myself, but I didn't select myself. So I was first of all, I never selected myself.
Yeah.
My performance spoke for itself.
Yeah.
And the selectors select me. So once again, I think, yes, if for one to be think this is the future captain, it's almost like you're putting pressure. But then the other thing, what they did wrong is by doing that, they never put structures into place, in a sense. So what I'm saying is, maybe a good or bad analogy, is that to become a professor, you've got to go through years of research, studying. And so now to go back to rugby, is that they had to either put mentorship programs around me and people that are in leadership position to be able to guide me.
Yes.
Put someone in that space and teach them and develop them as time goes. Do not put someone when they're not ready. I can't tomorrow go and pick someone to be my CEO if I don't know if he can handle pressure, if he can handle making decisions that are just Small example.
Yeah.
But you must know that the people that you put there, that by the time you get, it's a development program. Just like the system we used to have in rugby, whereby they used to have these development camps for youngsters, which is, it's sad that they moved away from that, because what this was doing, again, if you touch on the transformation, it was giving the transformation time to kind of understand and to learn and get better and develop. You don't say you're going to become the next former captain, but yet you do nothing about it. First of all, you don't play the guy. He doesn't get game time. So how are you going to learn to cope under pressure? How are you going to learn to control your teammates when they're ill-disciplined on the field, when you're off the field? How are you going to... So, I mean, there's so many reasons that I can give that the system... Yes, whoever said I've got potential, it's by the grace of God. Yes, they did see something in me, and I still believe that I can still impact the world.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that it just doesn't. You don't just wake up and just by click of your finger, that's the guy that should be in. It doesn't work like that. Unfortunately, in the real world, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah. Do you think they've learned from that, though? Do you think after, it sounds like, I don't want to disrespect anyone, but it sounds like you're saying they kind of threw you under the bus a little by, at an early age, saying you the first captain. They tag the first black captain label onto you, and without any support structures, without any leadership, coaching and mentorship, and maybe making you a vice captain for a couple of years and learning from someone specific. Do you think by throwing you under the bus a bit and seeing how that played out, that they maybe have learned from that going forward?
Well, to be honest, I don't know if they've learned from it, and I hope they do something to kind of rectify it. But I see what they've been trying to do. Obviously, last year when I was the Sharks, is that they had a group of leaders, so you kind of operate together. So those 5 or 6 leaders are potentially anyone could be captain on any given day.
Yeah.
So if one is out, there's two's out, there's three's out, there's 4. So yes, I think maybe they've kind of learned, but then I still believe that now the biggest mistake you can make now is empowering all 5, saying all 5 of you can make decisions on the field, because now when the captain has to make decisions, there's noises, there's white noises from everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's what you don't want. You don't want that cohesion. So well, I'm hoping it will get better, but I still believe that the system is nowhere near where it can be.
And if you would relate that to the whole transformation system that is in place, do you think there's a lot of errors that they're making in that as well?
Well, Nick, when you speak of that, the first question I'll ask you is, what is the definition of transformation?
It's my question.
How do you transform something? So for me, looking at rugby, is it almost like having someone on the bench? Is it being in the greater squad? Is that called transformation? Is it playing in the match 23? Is that called transformation? Is it being in the starting lineup? Or for that matter, is it only playing 40 minutes and being subbed after 40 minutes? Is that called transformation? Well, I say no, because transformation, for me, to understand, to transform anything, it needs time. So transformation needs to be gauged on time. You only get better with time. You and I can have this talent only get you as far as sitting around the same table. So what differentiates us is you had more time. You had more experience. That's what will make you better. You can have a guy with PhDs today, and you can get all the experience in the world about sports psychology and be way ahead of them and sit on the same table and think, but this guy he's still speaking about the books. You know, like I always refer, there's a book that I read, and they speak of the saying, the system of thinking is almost like the problem is we're thinking what is, which is what's in the book. You go to a doctor, the doctor only prescribes to you what's in the book. Oh, do you have a cold? Cough. Okay, that is a prescription. They give you what is. But do you ever look at what can be? Oh, what is the cause of your cold? Okay, let's see. What conditions do you live in? Do you have warm clothes? Do you what kind? Do you eat healthy? What? How do you? We need to gauge things properly. They need to be gauged. So again, when I come back to transformation, it should be gauged on time. So in my instance, Nick, I think the biggest fight, I would say fight, the struggle that I had in the game was just on time, begging for time. Please give me time. Give me time to learn how to be captain. Give me time to be on the field with the guys. Give me time so that I can perform. Give me time so I can voice myself. So it's all that I ever fought for my whole career. I spent 14 years of my life fighting for time. Nothing else. I mean, if you look at my junior years, look at Pretoria boys, like you think, well, why was this guy so good at high school and junior years to under 20s? Hello, it doesn't need a scientist to answer that. The guy had time. The guy was playing weekend in, weekend out.
Yes.
And that was all about. I mean, for Lewis Hamilton to be the greatest driver in the world, I mean, how long did it take him to get to where he is? He needed time.
Yeah.
You understand? He only became very great from the age of 28, 29. I'm talking about Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
And how old is he? 35 today, 34. So it was just time. But he started at the age of 18? Racing professionally. So time is important in any sport, and whatever you do, whether in corporate, whether on the sporting field, is that I believe time plays essential role in how you use your time. It's so important.
And it sounds like if you take transformation at young levels, what's happening at the moment is the schools are signing good players of color from smaller schools or from less privileged areas in grade 8. And now these kids, suddenly for the first time, they're in an environment that's so competitive where you're playing against the likes of Affies and Waterkloof and Grey Bloom week in, week out. And the guys that have been in those schools or in those type of environments from grade 1, they've had that time to get used to that competitive nature and things. But the guys that are only being signed out of nowhere in grade 8 or maybe in grade 10, they haven't had the kind of the back end of their development. They have to try and show up from the age of 16. And then these players are often falling away because they just don't know how to manage that pressure and that competitive environment because they're doing it for the first time at the age of 16.
No, definitely. Because what is happening there, Nick, is basically the guy is overwhelmed, first of all. Oh, wow, great school. So he needs to first adjust. So what does he need? He needs time to adjust. But then do the schools put structures to help these guys? I mean, for these guys, first of all, I'll say give them extramural activities, meaning that extra lessons so that he can educate himself, understand, get better. Tell him, listen, it's not only about rugby, but here in this school, it's an opportunity not for you to become a Springbok. It's an opportunity for you to become the next the next lawyer, for you to become the next CEO, for you to. It's an opportunity. So up until these people don't put structures for, I mean, again, schools are again to blame because now they get given the mandate to kind of do that. Then what do? They kind of just throw them under the bus. Yeah. Well, he's not good enough. We told you he's not good enough because that's an essential thing. That's exactly what they want to say. We told you he's not good enough because it's an easy way to divert the conversation, right? Yeah. So again, there is talent out there, and it's great that there are schools that are giving these kids the opportunity, because I do believe that also that transformation needs to start, especially not even high school, at primary school already. They should force the from the Billy rugby, the youngster, the 7, the 8-year-olds playing rugby. From there, they should say, sorry, there's no school that's playing this sport without X amount of black players, black, colored, whatever players. There needs to be an equal diversity within the teams. And then you started there, then already it will break this chain that you're taking people already in high school from disadvantaged areas and disadvantaged schools, because already they were being exposed. And by the time they get to high school, they've got understanding, and already there's another structure they're gonna fall into that also looks after them. Then, because end of the day, like most people that come from disadvantaged area, I was very lucky that I didn't come from a broken home, but lots of these kids, I mean, you're a psychologist yourself, and I think one of the biggest things you probably deal with, like in sport, that I've seen, is that lots of people are coming from broken homes.
Yeah.
And that has a massive mental effect of your day-to-day being a human, or living.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. So, I mean, if you could give advice, you've played many years of international rugby now, you're a veteran of the game. What advice would you give from your point of view that could help us do transformation better, if I can say it that way?
Well, my first thing with transformation is it's about time. So there needs to be time. Then secondly is that the whole transformation act, as you can call it, it needs to be reassessed. Transformation is great, because end of the day is that there needs to be transformation, because people need to get opportunities. And we're not saying it's you're transforming to become the next former captain. You're transforming this guy to become the next judge in the high court, the next CEO, the next Elon Musk. And so the importance of that it starts from grassroots, and also for government to also do something about the schools in the town, the schools in the townships, the schools in the villages. Put structures there as well. Then put facilities. End of the day, if this country is, we are all sport fanatics, and I mean, Nelson Mandela also, sport has the power to change to change the nation, and it does change us. We've seen last year with the World Cup that how it makes us, how it made us feel united, how it changed how it made us change as well. But it is a very powerful tool. So use that tool, create better facilities for these kids in those underprivileged areas. And there you're also able to take kids that are also still in those facilities and take them to these suburban schools, primary school and high schools as well. Take them there as well. Because it's important to kind of see the dynamic, because in that way I think they'll have a good gauge to see what system is working, which systems aren't working, what needs to be done. Because I just feel that since the whole transformation came up, the coach system is that there's never been gauged. Nothing was ever gauged. I don't know. I don't want to speak on behalf of the minister or the president of Surrey or the sport committee, but or the business committees. But I just believe that nothing was ever engaged in that.
Yeah. So I mean, should we be getting ex-players and current players involved in that process to have more discussions around it, and not kind of be like, well, there's a transformation policy in place, so the rest is just let's let it run automatically? Should we not have this discussion yearly and say, well, is this working? What can we change? And then on a yearly basis, kind of implement the changes that we see haven't worked.
I do. I think yes, we should, because again, I go back to Formula One, because being the sport I love watching, is that when Mercedes builds a new car, who do they put in the car? The driver, right?
Yeah.
It's the engineer the vehicle. The driver drives the vehicle. Then what does he come? He comes back and he reports says, well, I feel that the gear shift is a bit lagging, or I feel the steering wheel is, I feel there's a problem with the steering system, or I feel that when I get to third or fourth, when I go from third to fourth gear, that I'm not getting enough power. The RS is not kicking quick enough. So these things are important. That is gauged, that ex-players are being put or questioned, like, what can the government do better in the whole transformation? It's important to get their side of the stories as well, because they're the ones in it. And the ones in it only know how they can get it better, and maybe be able to advise the authorities, those group of professionals that are being hired to look after this transformation, to help them and understand, okay, we can maybe twitch here, twitch there, make this better. And that's how it will get better. That's how we as a nation can grow.
For sure. So let's chat about that quickly. So playing international rugby for the Sharks, for the Springboks, what are some of the pressures that you deal with on a daily basis as a young player, firstly, and then as you become a veteran of the game? Does that change the type of stuff you deal with?
Yeah, Nick, I think, when first of all, when you play international rugby, is that the pressure is completely different. There, you must be on top of your game, and on top of your game, meaning that you've got so much responsibility. Remember, you become the hope of the nation. So, mustn't forget, you are carrying that on your shoulder. So it is your responsibility, and you're representing the national side. You're representing the Sharks, Bulls, Stormers, or Cheetahs. You are representing the national team. The pressures are way bigger and way different. But how I combated that was through prayer, was through my mental approach of the game, my visualization. So yoga, so meditation. So I put myself deeply in that, deep.
Yeah.
Because why? So that I can control myself, so that I can be with myself.
Yes.
And playing club rugby. Yes, you're playing super rugby. It's almost, for me, when I say club rugby, it's almost like it's a step to the national team. So you still need to perform.
Yeah.
So there is, your performance speaks more than your mental game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but both you still need to perform. Then when you come to the national team, your mental game speaks about the rest, because how you can handle the pressures.
Yes.
In the last second, having to dart a throw at the back of the line out, and that's almost like a do or die. If you can say, it is a do or die. It's not almost, it is a do or die. So, yeah.
Yeah. So if you had to go and look back at the first time you played for the Springboks, and then maybe the latest time you played for the Springboks, obviously different coaches, different coaching structures and setups and management teams, did any of them have a type of process? Because playing, as you said, international rugby inevitably comes with a lot of expectation, a lot of pressure from fans and the coaches, and even your own pressures and your own expectations on yourself. So do they have a structure like that to kind of help you manage that, help you manage the mental thing, maybe a bit of a debriefing session? Talk about that for me.
Yes, structures were always there, but I think as a player, you're solely responsible for your own actions. So what I mean by that is, it's important to have a key focus. So the coach needs to give you what's important, which is your key focus. Then you need to set your own goals as well. And by setting your goals and the coach's goals, you're able to kind of, those need to kind of interlock. And if they don't interlock, that means you far away, because a player also has his own expectations. So your expectation from your coach, your expectation from yourself is totally different. But it needs to find ways where it interlocks, because end of the day, playing individual game where it's not like golf. As a hooker, it's important. The throw is important to the jumper. The jumper is important to the hooker. And the jumper is important to the scrum. The scrum is important to the jumper. The lifters are important to the jumper. The jumper is important to the lifter. So, understand?
Yeah.
There's a nice chain that's working just within one action. So the importance of that to kind of, I would say, one of the coaches say all arrows need to kind of point in the same direction and move in the same direction. Then it's better that way. If it doesn't interlock, it needs to point the same direction rather. So
no, sorry.
Yeah.
Continue. No, continue. Sorry.
So those are very important.
Yeah. So if you look at that now, there have been times, we can all see it, when the expectations and the goals from the coach and then the players' own expectations don't match and they don't interlock, and the arrows aren't pointing in the same direction. You see that within the player's performance. Then maybe the coach puts him on the bench, and obviously you're dealing with a lot of mental things in that moment, and at the same time you're still representing your country. So now you have all the stress and pressure of wearing the green and gold. Have the coaches helped you get through those mental stresses and thing, or have there been psychologists part of the team that you guys have worked with, or how do you go about dealing with that?
So I must say the system does employ psychologists. So there's psychologists that do come and consult with the team. So I'll always say that, first of all, just to uncap that, it's almost like goals need to be realistic goals as well. So what I mean by realistic goal is, you can't play 5 minutes. It's almost, I call it 5 minutes versus 5 tackles. So it needs to be realistic. So if we say, okay, you're playing 5 minutes and you must make 5 tackles and 5 carries, it's almost like, okay, but there's 5 minutes, and as we know, average ball in play is about 3.5 minutes, and there's a minute and a half break. That's a game. So in retrospect, you've got literally 3 minutes to 3 minutes or 5. So they need to be realistic. They cannot be unrealistic. It needs to be gauged on their time of ball in play. And you say, okay, ball in play is 14 minutes. So in 40 minutes, but this is the full 18 minutes. When you play 18 minutes, when you play 40 minutes, so it means you've got 20 minutes to put your actions together. But you can't say, now that you play 40 minutes, you must make 20 tackles, you must make 20 carries, because it's impossible. You can only do, 20 tackles, 20 carries, 20 cleans, 20 chases, whatever. It's impossible, because you only got almost like action per minute.
Yeah.
You understand? So
sure.
if the coach's goals are not realistic, then it doesn't help when the coach goes and he shouts the player at the end of the day for not reaching his goals, because that's exactly what's happening. That the coaches still don't set realistic goals. And one of the greatest coaches I've played under, I've been privileged to be coached, to play under 5 Springbok coaches.
Wow. And
out of those 5 Springbok coaches, there's one guy that really stood up for me, was Peter de Villiers, and when I went to France was Guy Novis. Why? Hello?
Sorry, we're back. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Yes. So why these 2 coaches? Because both of them made you feel like you belong. Then from making you feel like you belong, they made you a human or person before the athlete. They reminded you that listen, no, that is just the rugby player, but I'm here. I want to speak with the person.
Yeah.
You understand? So it again, it falls back to it's a psychological almost like, I don't want to say capture, but it's almost trying to get your acknowledgement before the rugby player.
Yeah.
Then by doing that, you tell the guy, you say to the guy, listen, then you yourself, you are able to kind of say, listen, I can't disappoint the coach. I can't disappoint my teammates. So then your motives are even greater to be on the pitch. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
No, for sure. And
yeah.
it leads into my next question, which was, who are some of the best coaches you've played under and what made them great? So you've mentioned Peter de Villiers, not just Springbok coaches, but also maybe at the union level. Who are some of the best, maybe even school level, and what made those coaches great?
Yeah, I mean, again, as you know, then you look at a guy like Paul Anthony, who's being, I think he's probably one of the. He's also one of the most undermined coaches that there is in this country, and they understand the greatness that man has. Again, they all have exactly what I just explained. They just all have that to make the person before the rugby player.
Yeah. So what makes a coach great is not his ability to coach a good game plan or technique. It's more about how he lets the players feel as people.
It's like, how many coaches today do you think coach?
Well, at that level, I don't think many.
So what do they have? A team of expertise around them.
Yeah.
That do the coaching. So as a coach, your responsibility is almost to be, you're almost the CEO of the team, more than the coach.
Yeah.
And that's how it is.
Yeah.
I mean, even in American football, you look at American football, the general managers are almost like coaches in American football, but they sit back, then they select coaches that were coaches that run the show.
Yeah.
But the importance of the coach in South Africa, or the CEO, is to make sure that you make people feel like they belong. So you have to make sure, you have to understand why isn't Nick on fire today? What's Nick going through? Well, you should be able to pick those things up. It's almost like the instinct. It shouldn't be at halftime or full time. Yes, Jules, you had a bad game. That was bad. That was awful. Then I mean, there's no need for that.
Yeah.
Because you go to him like, Jules, today you went to be at your best, and it should be able to tell you why you entered your best, did your best.
Yeah.
Because it's hard for you as an athlete to kind of find why. Then you kind of question yourself, why didn't I fight today? Why did I do? What? You're just thinking about the game. You can't picture back.
Yeah.
So a coach should be able to give you that whole screenplay. Should be able to be that screenplay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And those are the kind of coaches that we need in this country, because there is talent, Nick. I mean, how do you coach a Springbok to catch and pass?
Yeah.
Then you shouldn't be a Springbok.
Yeah.
you understand?
Yeah.
So it's more, it becomes more a chess player. So you need chess players around you, people that can play chess. So you play against the All Blacks, you know, okay, these are my tactics. First 10 minutes, this is the picture we're going to paint. Then after 5 minutes, we're going to paint a different picture. So we need to get them thinking on their feet. We can't get them knowing what's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have a little bit of a theory that our very best technical coaches should be coaching grassroots level rugby, and our best man managers should be the top level coaches. Would you agree with that then?
It's a very good and very powerful theory that I actually never thought of that. And I think it's got lots of right in it. Why? Because you are taking these expertise and you're taking this skill of expertise, and you're actually going to nurture your grassroots. And it's important, because by the time these guys understand, okay, this is how it works, then it's easier that by the time you get to that professional level, you're not even worried about passing, throwing, because you almost like, it's like, okay, now I just got to manage the mental side, and I got to manage the physical side of myself, like meaning that your training, how disciplined you are. I mean, for me, maybe till last year, I was still getting up 5 o'clock in the morning. So you want to be the first one up. And I still enjoyed going out, taking a walk in the evening. And I felt like I was the last one out the training, out the gym.
Yeah.
So it was your first one in, last one out. And that is just from person to person. It depends what your goals are, what you aspire to become, and where you want to, what path or where you want to get to. Because to get to any path, you can't stay in bed 24/7 and thinking that you're gonna sell ice cream to an Eskimo.
Yeah.
You've got to go out there and put on your snow jacket and try and see if you can get any Eskimo for starters. For me, well, I'm happy to stay in the warm weather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you think back now of all your experiences under Springbok coaches, what is one thing that stands out that you would hope every single coach takes with him?
Make the rugby players feel like they're people.
Yeah.
And not machines or robots.
Yeah.
Then you'll get the best out of them. I mean, training, as I said, it's self-discipline. If you don't have self-discipline, you wouldn't be there anyway.
Yeah.
If you didn't sacrifice, you wouldn't be there anyway.
Yeah. So do you think Peter de Villiers gets unfair criticism about his coaching career as a Springbok coach?
Of course, now I feel it's probably one of the coaches that I had lots of respect for, and one of the coaches that was definitely undermined. Because I mean, never mind history speaking for itself, but the stats speak for themselves as well. You also got to look at stats. That's what I love about America. America, they don't blah blah blah. They look at stats. Okay, what is your win ratio versus your loss ratio? Well, if you don't know, he's won more games than any other coach.
Yeah.
Out of my 5 coaches, he's got the highest winning percentage.
Yeah.
So he did something right. Yes, people criticize saying, "Oh, he had the best crop of players." Well, then why don't you give him opportunity with the worst crop of players?
Yeah.
So it's sad that a guy like him is actually getting lost, because what he could have done, he could have inspired other coaches, and also maybe they could have put a system whereby let him head the coaching system of South Africa, meaning let him go into these rural areas, let him educate these coaches, let him train these guys to become as well, to have an opportunity in the coaching, make him understand, let him open up his book for these people. And that would have been, if they put him up like, oh, you want to give him a coaching job, then put a system like that whereby he can help nurture and grow our crop of new coaches that will come up.
Yeah. I think it's very important. I think the education of our coaches is very much dependent on the fact that they've played rugby before. There's no real education on man management, on running a squad, on all those type of things, and those are, as you said, very important in coaching. And I was involved at Western Province Cricket in the coaching structures in the education field. And every time we did a course on a player-centric approach to coaching, the feedback was amazing, because all those guys could play good cricket. They know the technical side, but they've never thought of how important the mental side is to coaching. So I think it's very important for a structure like that to be put in place.
No, exactly. But then again, it just shows you, because if I refer back to the Canadian system, I mean, the professor's saying, well, in Canada, they're starting a new approach into sport, taking a different route. It's like, what route is that? Is that training harder? Is that spending more time on the track and stuff with the track athletes? Like, no, we're going we're doing a reverse. It's called a reverse osmosis, correct? So we taking 30% will be training, or 40%, and 60% is just going to be the mental side of the game.
Wow.
So they put you in this dark room, and they train you, and like the mental side. How do you get focused? How long can you stay focused for under pressure? And it's like mental training, and those are the kind of system that we need, that we don't have in South Africa. And unfortunately, it's sad because these coaches only know exactly what you said, the technical side, but the mental side becomes lost because they don't know how to deal. Like that's why if you look at the best coaches in this country were actually teachers,
Yes. Yeah.
school teachers. Yes, because they knew the psychological side of people.
Yeah. Yeah. That's Jake
Yeah.
White, and all of them were teachers.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
Peter was also a teacher. Paul Anthony, there's a whole list. Hanneke Meyer, there's a whole list. All of these
Yeah, they
guys.
were all teachers. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
what is your process of dealing with failures?
You know, I always say with biggest thing with failure is that it's acknowledgement. So lots of people don't acknowledge their failures. So if I'm wrong, Nick, I'll come to you like, you know what, today I messed up. I really messed up. I wasn't on top of my game, and I own up as a man for it. People or players don't do that. They hide behind. And by trying to hide behind, you're clothing yourself with this darkness.
Yeah.
Because you're not accepting the situation. So by accepting the situation, you will be able to drive away the failures. And by facing the man in the mirror, you can use it to almost impact you positively. But how do you move forward? Okay, Chills, I was wrong. You know what? I shouldn't have done that. But now I'm gonna face my fears, all my failures, and I'm gonna move forward. And if you look at it in a positive way, this moving forward means that it's what's gonna shape you who you are today. It's gonna make you a better person tomorrow.
Yeah.
So if you look at the negative side and you stick on the negative side, it'll weigh you down, and you just get heavy. You'll just have a cloud of thinking that the world is against you if you don't use it correctly. But so your failures, I believe your failures is what shapes you.
So, looking back at your career, which are some of the failures that stand out, and what are the lessons you've taken from them?
Well, first of all, I had to acknowledge that for me, I'm not saying I was always. I'm not saying I'm a pure person. That I'm not.
Yeah.
We all make mistakes, and I've learned from mistakes.
Yeah.
But then there's certain mistakes that, if there's certain mistakes that keep haunting you, then you should step out completely. But if they're haunting you because of not your doings, then you should question the system.
Yes.
So I have made mistakes in the past, but that doesn't mean that the mistake you made in the past will decide who you are today. Unfortunately, in South Africa, they wait the past and they make the past the nows.
Yeah.
And then again, I'll say it's our educational system. So our educational system brainwashes people to believe, to think and believe a certain way.
Yeah.
Because now we speak to media, now we're busy doing this podcast, and a person already has made up their perception about whether me or you has already been made before we even listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
So how do you change that? Is it stop the brainwashing and look at what can be, not what is, or what it is.
Yeah.
And so you got to look at both directions. Then you'll be able to, uh, to have a summary of an individual.
Yeah.
But failures are what shapes us. You need to fail to get better. I mean, if we go back, I'm a Christian, so take the Bible and you read the story of Jesus. Wherever Jesus walked in, what was it all full of gold? Was it king, wherever he went to? No, people spat on him. People spat on him. But yet he was able to use that to have a positive impact. Because again, one of my favorite saying is listening to Morgan Freeman. He says, watching one of these documentaries, he says, in every darkness, there is light. So what is said by that is the 0.0001% of the person who is dark, that could be the light. And that's what we need to focus on.
Yeah.
That's only where we'll be able to, because now you acknowledge that there is darkness, but also acknowledge that there is light, because we are all human. Human.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go bone and flesh.
Yeah, for sure. All of us. And one of the biggest lessons I learned, my headmaster at school was similar to Bill was to you, quite a profound guy. And he used to say, we never judge the person, we judge the action. Meaning, just because this guy made a mistake or he took an action that led to harm somebody or himself maybe, doesn't mean he's a bad person or a dark person. It means he's made a judgment call that wasn't correct. But as a person, we still respect the person and who he is. And that he actually took that because we were speaking about Hansi Kruner at the stage. He obviously had a lot of issues. And with Hansi's thing, people were questioning why the school isn't removing his name from the boards and things. And then the headmaster said, well, we don't judge Hansi as the person, we just judge his actions. And I think that's what you were alluding to, is that people make mistakes, but that doesn't define who they are.
No, exactly. I mean, you are dead right there. Is that unfortunately our society is like that. But also one of the greatest lessons that I've learned from our mentors at school was Mr. Yehu, and later on was with Paul Anthony, is that he said, you know what, people will break you down and the world will break you down, but then just find another door to step into. Yeah. Because there's no need for me also to have grudge on people trying to break me down, because as I said, hey, maybe there is a little bit of light in them, and maybe one day they'll be able to see that light. Might not happen now, which is sad. Or maybe when I'm not of this world, they might be able to see that light. Yeah. And so that is what I should accept, and just find another door to step into.
Yeah. So I mean, you've obviously been painted in a certain way through the media with the recent things that have come up, and one of the reasons I wanted to get you on was to give you an opportunity to show that you are in fact a human first and a person with a good heart and with, you know, family and things, but you've been labeled now because of what happens in the media and that perception that you spoke about. So I don't know if you want to get into that at all, but what is the current kind of situation and how are you dealing with it, knowing that this is the image being painted of you?
Well, first of all, I mean, this situation just actually it made me stronger, and it's making me stronger every day, and it's shaping me every day to become who God wants me to be. So I still plead, I still fight. I'm still fighting to this day for my innocence. But people forget that I've been fighting for my innocence since 2010.
Yeah.
So this paint, I've had it since 2010. So people easily forget that. And when you look at the current situation, when I talk of the current situation, obviously 2010 Look at 2010, the whole team could have tested positive. Then again, you say to yourself, but how does someone get tested if they don't even get 1 minute on the pitch? So how does it work? Surely you need to test the guys that are performing then. See why is this guy performing so how did this guy get a man of the match? I mean, those are the kind of people I'll say you need to test most of the time because they're performing. Surely it's like, hey, is it a little bit suspicious? I mean, some people are just great and they get man of the match week in, week out, and doesn't mean they're cheating the system or they're doping. No, it's not. So then you go to 2014 and you find 2014 and 2019 for me, it's when I look at these two cases, when you saw, I opened my files and I've been reading through all those files myself. And when I go through the cases, it is that not the funny thing is the question I ask is the time, the sequence of events. It's similar. So 2010 happened a few months before the World Cup, which was in December 2010. World Cup was in 2011, September. 2014 happened in March 2014, and the World Cup was in September 2015. 2019 happened in Jan 2019, and the World Cup was in September 2019.
Yeah.
So then the picture they throw out there is, okay, 2010, he drank it. But then people then question, but you don't even play. 2014, whatever might have transpired, is that, again, it's like people are forgetting the discrepancies that happened in the lab. Then I go to I don't want to go too much in 2014. 2014 is also a big case in itself.
Yeah.
Then 2019, which is the latest, and you think to yourself, wait a minute, I don't know anything about the drug called Zeranol. Oh, wait a minute, I was a vegetarian. Oh, wait a minute. So it happened. I had an op, 2014 and 2019. I had an op, and a couple of weeks after the op, I get tested. So then I'm sitting at home, I'm not doing anything. I'm not able, in 2019, I'm not able to train or do anything. I just said I had an op. 2 weeks later, I pick up, or 10 days, a week later, pardon, I pick up a massive infection. And I can't even walk. I'm sitting at home. My wife is literally bringing food to me and because the doctor says, listen, you need to keep the knee up. You can't put pressure on it.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be an op that immediately after the cleanup, you're able to walk. So it's supposed to be a clean out. And this happens. I'm like, then what did they put in my body? So you question the doctor. You go, I question the doctor, what did you put in my body? Because I need to question him because I was under when they were operating me.
Yeah.
I need the whole medical script. They don't give me everything. They don't want to give me the whole file.
Wow.
I was like, you're holding the file? Okay. Anyway, that's fine. Then 2019, I start recovering slowly, start to cycle slowly. Then I get tested, and I tested positive. Then you find there's also lots of discrepancies along the way. So as a DCO, who's a doping controlling officer who tested me on that day, he comes a week before, straight to me, is like, when are you guys getting back? He comes a day before to test other athletes, and people make a joke, so when is Chiliboy getting tested? And it's like, oh, it's his lucky day today. Then the next day I get tested. Then there's a partial sample in place, which he doesn't record or he doesn't inform me because I've never given a partial sample before. So it was the first time where after a boxing session, I had no urine, so I passed the partial sample. So partial meaning about instead of passing 100 mils, I passed 30 mils.
Yeah.
Then I carry that around for about half an hour. Then I pass the rest into the same vessel, whereby it should be a new vessel. Again, that partial should have been stored and sealed somewhere else. Then you find out that he keeps the samples at his home. Some of the samples were kept at his home in his fridge. And I'm thinking, how is that possible? We're talking about professional athletes here.
Yeah.
We're not talking about, never mind whatever athlete anyway. I think the system just got it wrong there to be able to allow that.
Yeah.
If it's cutting cost, then tell me it's cutting cost, because that does not exist. Then surely you shouldn't be testing anyway. Then you find out that out of that, there was my sample goes missing for 12 hours. So what I mean goes missing for 12 hours, it needs to be everything, wherever it arrives, needs to be dispatched and signed for. So whoever handles, because it's very sensitive, they need to know, they need to be able to trace.
For sure, yeah.
So for 12 hours, they couldn't trace where the sample was. Was it in a vehicle? Was it in someone's house? Where was it? We don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm not fighting what they found. What they found is the lab result tells you that. That's what they found. I'm fighting how it got there. Because honestly speaking from my heart, it did not come from, I did not ingest myself with such rubbish to make myself better. Yeah. Then again, what people didn't know, the Sharks wanted to offer me a 2 to 3 year contract, end of 2018, just end of Currie Cup.
Yeah.
Then I said to them, you know what, I don't think I want to play for that long. I don't want to be in the game for that long. I'm happy to take an 8-month contract. Sign me till July. Then I'll probably hang my boots in July. This is July 2019. So for someone to come back and say, oh, no, he wanted to get back in time to make the World Cup team. No, he wanted to get fitter, to get stronger. So it's almost it's ridiculous assumptions.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous that someone would say that and use that.
And it's grounded in nothing. It's, as you said, it's just an assumption, you know, that no one knows. I didn't know that the Sharks offered you that contract, and no one knows that you asked for an 8-month, but they would go and make an assumption and say, well, he's trying to repair himself quicker for the World Cup or get stronger for the World Cup. It's a terrible thing for you to live under. Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. But I'm saying thank you for allowing me to be in this platform, because it allows me to speak the truth, and also it's a baggage off myself. So tomorrow I can go to bed feeling good about myself. I can sleep next to my wife, be with my little man, and just knowing that I feel good about myself. Yeah. Understand? I'm not carrying any baggages. We're free to move.
You were planning on retiring from rugby in any case, am I right?
Correct.
So it doesn't affect you in the sense that you're losing out on years of playing, because it's just kind of tainting your name.
No, exactly. Exactly. For me, the biggest thing is I can't have that. I can't have that painting of my name as being the victim of doping.
Yeah.
So that I can't stand.
Yeah.
Because that is not who I am.
Yeah.
And if I was wrong, why would I even spend so much money paying lawyers to fight my case, knowing that I'm not earning a salary? I mean, it's ridiculous for someone to even think of thinking that you'll get away with murder.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like this. The system is black and white.
Yeah. And you're appealing at the moment the outcome, am I right?
Well, at this moment, we're looking at all grounds in terms of all grounds of appeal, and as I say, we're still within the 21-day period. So we're going to take time, and hopefully, sometime next week, we'll come up with a decision whether to appeal or not.
Yeah, and it's just a pity, because even though in 2010 you and Bjorn Basson were cleared of any wrongdoing, that label still stuck with you. So, you know, when the next one comes and they go, caught again for doping. And it's like, no, but he wasn't actually caught for doping. The first time he was cleared, but that label sticks with you. So I admire your ability to overcome that adversity and come back and still even represent the Springboks after so many things, just to try and show, you know, you're just here to do what you love. And maybe you can even touch on that. How do you overcome that adversity?
Well, for me, I think my upbringing played a massive role in this. So if you look at my upbringing, I just take my upbringing quickly. It's almost like I grew up in a clay home. I was a clay home, a home made out of clay.
Yeah.
Then from there, later, parents built a wooden home. Then from there, it took them 12 years while they still put the foundation. They had the foundation to build a brick home. It took them 12 years to complete their home, a brick home.
Yeah.
So when I look at that picture, and also I had to drive donkey carts to go to the well to go get water.
Yeah.
I had to make sure that I water my grandmother's garden, because that's where our source of food came from.
Wow, yeah.
I had to make sure that I fed the chickens that we had at home.
Yeah.
So when I look at this, all this, I mean, I don't want anyone to feel sorry for my upbringing.
Yeah.
That's who I am. I grew up in the Mujaji School Mountains, from Mujaji, or in Tiki Line near Zani, or Linyenya, it's a township nearest to us. And what that has taught me is to be resilient. It taught me to persevere. It gave me strength. That if it took my parents 12 years to build a brick home, well, I've only got a knee injury. I'm only facing, it's only a small challenge in front of me. This passed in 5 weeks. Then after 5 weeks, you must move on.
Yeah.
Find another door. Make yourself better. Train yourself even harder. So what this did, Nick, is that it just made me work even twice or 3, 4, 5 times harder than I used to work before. If I thought I'm working hard, I looked at myself like, chills. If you think you're working harder, well, I call myself, because my clan name is Mukwena. So if I say Mukwena, if you think you're working hard, you're lying to yourself. Now get up at 4 in the morning. Go for a run before you get to training. Go for a cycle before the guys pitch up. Be the first one in the gym. Already, you must have completed 2 sessions before they start to the first session. So that by the time you do the third session, by the time they do their first session, you're on your third session. By the time they do their third session, you're on your 5th or 6th session of the day.
Yeah.
So I needed to make sure that I put myself ahead like that, because sometimes you miss out on the time. So 2 years away from the game, so you miss out on the camaraderie. So you needed to catch up and also be ahead.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I just used. I just held on to those, to resilience, perseverance, and just never give up. Yeah.
So, I mean, your upbringing definitely played a role in not only that, but also in you becoming a professional sportsman, because there's a lot of resilience needed to go through all the failures and all the, you know, the trials at a young age for the junior provincial teams, and then to sign a contract, and then to make the starting lineup, and then you don't get picked and you get injured. All of that type of stuff, all the traveling, it's just resilience is needed wherever you look within a sport like rugby. So do you attribute that to your upbringing as well?
No, definitely. Like as I say, I'm very lucky that the situation I grew up in, it molded the person who I am today. Because without that, I wouldn't have made it so far. I mean, I was speaking to some other athletes, and they're kind of going through the same thing. They're like, you know what? Me, at one stage, I felt like taking my life away because of the pressure. And I'm like, listen, you need to find something that will kind of remove your focus. Something, rather do something, go study, do something, go work out elsewhere, go find a job somewhere else.
Yeah.
And try and better some part of your life. Try let something else catch up to where you are. Okay, don't close the chapter. Just keep it there, but go in and get your PhDs or your masters. Go study, or go find a job, do an internship at a company somewhere, and focus on something else. And so, I believe my upbringing had a massive impact on who I am today. And also, I must say, I'm very thankful for my wife and my child, who just came of late, is that my wife was always there for me. She supported me through it. So also these supporting structures, your family is important. You've got a solid family that also supports you along the way, so you're not alone. So it was important to find a solid supporting pillar behind you, so that they can be the one kind of pushing you, because sometimes you can only push yourself so far. But if they're not willing to nudge you a bit or kick you in the backside, then it doesn't help it doesn't help your dream aspirations.
Did you receive a lot of backlash from fellow players and teammates when you returned from suspension?
Can I come back I just want to bathroom quickly, is that okay?
Cool. Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
No problem.
Just give me a minute.
Okay, cool. So we're back. So the backlash, did you receive backlash from your fellow players and teammates when you returned from suspension?
I must say, obviously some people made it easier, but some made it harder, because there were a few games I played. I remember I was playing New Zealand, and you're playing against the Crusaders, and one of the hookers, Corey Flynn, he goes, "Oh, you're druggy." They almost try to play that mental game to you, like, "Oh, you're druggy," and all this. I'm like, it's almost like the anger that you need to control quickly, because it's like, I don't blame you. You just dumb. Just say that for starters. First of all, check where the ball is. You understand? So look at the score, things like that. Not that we always came out on the winning end against the Crusaders, but it's almost like, well, see you in the next scrum. Or understand? So so yes, you do get lots of backlash, and people kind of the funny thing is within our society is that people are quick and easy. They love to make jokes. So when they're speaking of doping, like, speaking of doping, it's like, and we've got one Chile. Then like, what about it? But almost like a very soft tone, like, no, don't be shy to talk about it. Speak your mind. As I say, we've got freedom of speech, so speak your mind. I'm not gonna punch you or do anything. Just speak your mind. Maybe if you say something wrong, yes, you might. I might land a punch straight in your nose, but right now it's like, speak your mind.
Well, it seems like you have the type of mentality that would allow you not to take those things too personally. Like if people are going to make jokes or chip you, your resilience and adversity, ability to overcome adversity shows that it's, you're not going to take those things too hard.
No, definitely. What helped me the most powerful tool that I could have in order to grow that was yoga.
Wow.
When I attended yoga classes and meditation, people always laughed at me, like, "Oh, why are you doing that?" But I knew, because I had a goal in mind, that I need to get my mind stronger. So if these Buddhists, you look at all these Buddhists, the way they think and their ideology is that it's not of this world. So how can I even grab 1% of that? I don't want 100%. I just want 1% of that, and just hold it to that 1% in order to help my mind and my thought process. So that I'm always thinking of the positives. I'm always, and when someone does something well, it's important to acknowledge it. Like, yes, well done, well done for for investing in a home. Well done for this action. Well, so it's important to acknowledge and not speak of the negativity, because the more negativity I spoke of, that builds my own negativity. So the more positive, it's called it in yoga, called a sense of gratitude. So the more you give sense of gratitude, the more you receive yourself. I mean, I was in the gym before lockdown, and there was a lady, and she's working, but she's quite built, and she's working out, and she's been working out for quite some time. And I've been seeing her when we jump on the white bike and stuff like that. Then the first time there, sometimes we start, we think we're friendly people. We're not friendly. we actually we lying to ourselves, thinking we're friendly.
Yeah.
When a taxi drives past you, oh, what's this guy doing? But you're forgetting he's a taxi driver. His job is to commute people, take people to where they need to get to. So that he's a transporter. And I said to this lady, I said, ma'am, you look wonderful today, and you motivate me every day to just work harder, because I can see how you're working. Look how hard you're working. And she's looking like, look at how you're sweating. You're sweating. You're like she's like, you like crazy when you jump on the bike. I'm like, no, but man, for me, I'm in a different state.
Yeah.
So when I get in the gym, almost I like Will Smith when he says when he steps in the office, he puts on his office hat. So it's important for people to have these hats, that wherever you go, when you get home, you must have your home hat. You must know that I've got my wife and kid, that to respect my heart and kid, to listen to in that space. It's your space together. So be selfish like that. And when you get to the gym, have your gym hat. Here I'm coming, I've got a goal, coming to work out. It's an hour in and out. More than an hour, you're wasting your time. So sense of gratitude is important. I think plays a very important role. I mean, even as a Christian, also we always speak of giving, and I mean, if you see now what's happening is that how our giving has become very essential in under the current situation that we're in as the entire world. Is that those that are in need, it's important that whatever you can, you help wherever you can. I'm not saying go and buy 200,000 rand worth of groceries. Even 2 grocery bags to your securities can change the world.
Yeah.
So we all have power in us to change the world. So gratitude for me is very, very powerful.
Yeah. So I always ask all my guests the same questions to get like a sense of what gets them ticking. And one of them is your mental practices that you put in place. And you've already mentioned yoga and meditation. Is there anything else that you do on a daily basis or on a weekly basis just to help yourself be ready mentally?
I think the other thing is getting out there with the family. So I'll sometimes just myself and my family will go for a beach walk. I mean, you're very lucky that in KZN you can go for walks within winter or whatever time of the year. So you just take and go for a beach walk and just walk together and just be present to kind of remove you away from the external pressure, or from focusing too much on if you're playing the game on the weekend's game, or if you've got a big pitch up to do, just to remove your focus away and not just be stuck in it the whole time. And by the time you get there, you crumble because the pressure will just get to you and you won't be able to think. So it's important to have balance. So I think balance plays an important key in life. So balance your life and know exactly what is it that you can do. And what I mean balance doesn't mean go to the gym and train, or go do something out of what you're doing, out of the norm. Take a book, go to sit in the park and just read.
Yeah.
Just go lie down on the grass and just read. Go sit on the bench
Yeah.
and just acknowledge what's in front of you. And that to me is what's helped reinstate my focus, that helped me to be able to focus when I needed to focus.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. So what are the 5 most important things in your life right now?
5 most.
Yeah.
Say my family.
Yeah,
I think I got a responsibility to my family.
for sure.
It's obviously your responsibility. You're accountable to them, and I think also the new journey which I'm embarking on. So I've got to educate myself, which is becoming important. I'm back in university to make sure that I get upskill myself. I get the right qualifications, and I think a journey of entrepreneurship is, as I said, upskilling. So upskilling meaning that learning about the industry that I want to go into, understanding that from the book's point of view, and thirdly is also is engaging with business personnel around me and trying to learn from them. Yeah.
So
So
what are you studying at the moment? What is your degree?
So I'm just doing it's a basic BCom degree, which I've just got a year to finish up. So just want to finish it up and just get out the way. Then yes, I'll love to obviously study further and do MBA, and I'll see in what field. Then right now I haven't made a decision where, and like to maybe you'd like to go to one of the universities either in America or in France or somewhere or in England just to further my knowledge.
Yeah, for sure. One of the
Yeah.
things I'm very interested in is the transition from being a professional sportsman into normal life. And you've obviously approached that through educating yourself and looking at businesses. Do you think that's something a lot of players struggle with?
Yeah, I must say it's not easy. It was probably the hardest thing. I think lucky for me, I had a year, I call it like almost a sabbatical year, which I obviously with the case and all that I could use the time to think what is it that I want to do, and it's hard because the day your salary stop coming into your bank account, then there's a big question mark because many of us we live on our salaries, and we don't realize it, and that's why if you look at if look at between your middle class and your top end is that we're not quite there. We're not quite there as a country because we are most of us are living on our day-to-day salaries, and which is not the right approach. But unfortunately, I mean, we can't do anything because of the education system that was put there that brainwashed or sabotages people to kind of be there. You understand? So you just gotta. Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. It's not easy, and I'm just thankful that I've got my family that they're supporting me every day to get up. I mean, there are days where you feel demotivated to even wake up and try. I mean, working from home, it's not easy. The little one as well running around and trying to focus. So it's never easy. But you got to find ways. You got to find ways to work around it. Whether it means when the little one goes to sleep at 6, that's when you start working. You work from 6 to 6. And when he wakes up, then you keep him occupied. So those are, it's part of sacrifice. So you need to sacrifice like that. And that is what's going to shape you at the end of the day.
Yeah. Have you spoke about guys like Uncle Bill from Boys Eye and Paul Anthony, and they obviously served as mentors for you as a youngster. Have you got some mentors at the moment that are helping you look at businesses and entrepreneurship and things?
look for someone that can mentor me into business. Because at this moment, I just listen to lots of podcasts with different CEOs, and I try and read lots of books, business books, in order to understand and see what leaf I can pull out of each chapter. So and try and make that my own. Because at the end of the day, that's how you can get better. Is that you do, okay, I can maybe clean the window. I need to create soap that can clean the windows. I need to create the window cleaner that'll make me see bright, that will make me see clearer. So it is important to have mentorship. And I mean, in my own careers, I had kind of Paul Anthony, Mr. Yehu, and Uncle Bill, but I mean, I still communicate with them. So
Okay, cool.
they're still there. But I think in business, you also need someone that has kind of walked the walk of business, that can kind of nurture you or help you not help you, but kind of guide you.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a business in that. You know, when rugby players and sportsmen in general retire from the game and they're not quite sure, you know, how to slot into this normal life that everyone's living, there could be a business in mentoring people like that. You know what I mean? So as an ex-player, for example, for you to set up something that would help other guys that are struggling and going through this process, to help them find opportunities and things like that, which I think is something that's very much lacking in our international sports.
No, exactly. You sort of did right there, because again, when you look at the transformation system, you think, well, the transformation system only, once you're out the bus, there goes the transformation system. It's also one to blame, just like the unions. They're operating hand to hand, so they're not helping set up these youngsters to be able to step into the real world. I mean, to set up these youngsters, so when they step into the real world, they've got things in place. So I would say, well, if transformation system was so great, why didn't it first focus on educating the player, educating the individual before he became the player? So again, if you look at the module in America, they only select players from college. So you have to be college. You don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be a lawyer, but you must have some form of education behind you.
Yeah.
Then once the players get to age of like 27, 28, then you say, okay, now you coming towards the end of your career. You've got 5 years, whatever, left in your career, average. So what we want to do, we want to connect you with a business whereby during your off days, your off times, whether you've got 2 days off in the week, we're going to use that time to upskill you. Go do an internship with Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Go and deliver Cokes to the retailers, or go work in a retailer, work in dispatch, go and work in corporate, go work in IT. So it's important to kind of put these things in place. I mean, you don't have to pay the player, and the thing is, they don't understand. These corporates don't understand. You don't have to pay him, but he's going to get a skill that he's doing for free because he's already being paid by his union.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for him, you feel like, it's fun. This is to set myself up after the career end. This is my plan for the career end. Because again, as I said, there needs to be sacrifice. So if the players are also thinking that they need to get paid when they go do their internship, then they're also fooling themselves.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So somewhere along the line, it should be they call it the push-pull mechanism.
Yeah. I think it's very important because I mean, every single time I speak to someone, I immediately see there's an uncertainty regarding what's coming next, you know, and it's a worry thing because you can't be a superstar forever, you know. You've got to care for your family. You've got to still be meaningful to society. So it's a difficult one for guys in your position.
No, exactly. So it also, like, when you're there as that superstar, it's also important to to have these plans in mind. So you need to get these business cards. So that's what I did along my career, that I meet up with all these CEOs, directors, founders of big businesses, and I just grab their cards.
Yeah.
And once in a while, we're there, even once a year, or twice a year. Hi, how are you doing? How's it going? How's your family? So you need to build relationships. So it's not about just contacting these people thinking, okay, I need a job now. But how can you contact someone in the dying when you need a job? Meanwhile, the past 10 years where you had these business cards, you never contacted them once.
Yes.
So relationships are important. I think maybe you can also allude to that looking at the psychological side of business is that is going to become vitally important in big organization, that for you to do any business going forward, you still need a relationship. Yeah. You can't just step in like, okay, well, I'm coming to, unless you're a good salesman. A good salesman always be good salesman. Yeah. and those are also your good entrepreneurs as well.
Yeah.
But not everybody has that skill, so you can't just walk in. You need to kind of build that relationship together.
Yeah.
And also if you're selling, the relationship of trust also takes time.
Yeah.
So they might give you 3 or 6 months on a trial base and see how you work. Then after that, they might say, well, we're canceling your contract, we're not happy. Or they might say, listen, we're happy, we're willing to build our relationship further. Then it's a welcoming effect.
Yeah, for sure. Listen, man, I'm going to end us off with giving you an opportunity to just say something that's on your heart, or maybe you want to speak. Maybe there's something we didn't cover that you wanted to get out into the public. From what I gathered from what we were speaking of, you were still fighting for your innocence in these cases. You're fighting to clear your name, even though you've most probably you are definitely done with rugby. Is there something you want to add to that, and something maybe you want to give a message out to any young players out there?
I think before I give a message out, I think what I'd like to add is that most people don't understand that throughout my career, they only saw the picture that the media painted of me, and they didn't see the person that was struggling behind the system. The person that was fighting for equal opportunities. So I was also a member of my players, which is the players union, where I also despise the players union, because the players union, how can you be a players union and yet you're being funded by the South African rugby organization? It doesn't make you a players union. It's what's the word for it? It's almost like you're sleeping in bed with your sister.
Yeah.
So that can't be like that. And I had to fight, and I had to struggle my way in fighting these things, and fighting the inequality, and fighting that the smaller unions also need to be looked after, just like the big unions. Yes, maybe not the same funding, but they need to be looked after. I had to fight for players to get game time, that as a player of color, that you play one bad game, it's like, no, he's not ready, he's not good enough. But you and yet the white players, he plays one bad game, is like, he can get better. We need to give him more time. He gets second, third shot. Then he becomes, oh, now we're seeing a glimpse of what he can do. So those opportunities were never equal. And that's what I fought for when I was in the players union organization.
Yeah.
Then obviously the other big one is that at the Bulls, fighting against. I don't say fighting, because I think fighting it can be a bit more aggressive. But I had to stand in front of the CEO, in front of the coach, being a young player, and say, guys, we can't have our message being projected in Afrikaans, and the coaches are also speaking Afrikaans. And yet, there are some players around who don't understand Afrikaans.
Yeah.
Not everybody speaks Afrikaans. So we need to find a common language that's suited for everybody. But it was uncomfortable for the Afrikaans people, so they had to make it comfortable for them. And there again is the inequalities we speak about. So when you get on the pitch, when the message was in Afrikaans, you get on the pitch, and after the game, the coach says, "But you didn't do this, didn't do that." But you're forgetting that I didn't understand the message.
Yeah.
Then who gets blamed? You get blamed. But players couldn't stand up. They couldn't speak for themselves. And I saw these things. And sometimes also I couldn't go further or farther with the whole idea of standing up, because then you also get you jeopardizing your career. And that's what I feel also happened at the end. It was a ripple effect of that. Like, we need more and more stuff to get them out the system.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that. But just to end up, obviously, my message out there to the youngster and whoever is aspiring to be a great CEO, a great athlete, founder of a big organization, is that one thing I always say, for me, the things I always start to with the 4Ds. So I'll say it's discipline, dedication, and your desire, then your dream. Those are things I also held into. Then out of all of that, and I say, you must never give up on your dream, because your dream is the one that will give you hope. And your hope is what will give you energy to wake up every day when it's not fun. When people are saying get down, that's when that hope will say get up. And that for me is what worked for me, and also just to keep on improving yourself, keep on being honest, pure honesty, integrity, keeping your integrity, who you are, your identity, that person, be that person. Don't try be someone that you're not, or someone that you can't be. I can't be you, and you can't be me, but you can be yourself. And how do you get the best of yourself? By looking yourself in the mirror and being true to yourself. And I think the most important thing is that they always say 1% of the world write down their own goals. And so be part of that 1% group.
Yeah. Because
that makes you a special bunch. Write down your goals, but your goals also be realistic goals, and must be goals that can be achievable. Not something like I wanna. Don't say I want to fly to the moon. I mean, yes, if you're an astronaut, if you study to become an astronaut, yes, possibly you could. Yeah. but your goals need to be very realistic. Yeah.
Awesome, man.
And thank you for the time.
No, I need to thank you. I mean, you've been honest. You obviously in the media at the moment, or your name is, and you're willing to speak honestly and speak openly. And I think a lot needs to be taken out of a conversation like this, so that people can see, well, what is wrong in the system and in the structures, and also to give people that face adversity an opportunity to state their side of the case. So thank you for doing that, and I've learned a lot from you. And you know, you've been an inspiration, as I said, from a young age, and you still are, and you continue to be. So good luck with everything you're going through, and good luck with your future. It'll be cool to see where you go in the next few years.
No, thank you, Nick. I really appreciate this opportunity that you gave me to be on this platform. I think it's a wonderful initiative that you've got going, and I also wish you all the success in this, because this could definitely steer up, and this is part of the future. And I'm very thankful to be part of this journey as well. Seeing if I can help you advance in this journey and get to where you want to get to. It'd be my greatest pleasure.
Appreciate that. Thanks so much, man. Before we say goodbye, I just want to know, is there a place people can find you if they want to reach you on social media or something?
Yeah, that is my biggest problem. So I'm not a social media addict. So yeah. I've moved away from social media. I've never liked social media from day one, because why? Because social media for me always paints the wrong picture to people. So people, when they, if you look back at Okay, we look at the crime in South Africa. So you go and you flash, bought a new car, bought a new house, got a beautiful wife, ever. This is crime, this is rape, this is murder, this is everything. So what message are you selling to people? To social media. I mean, even girls showing their nude bodies on social media. I don't mind if you worked hard and you train, and you've kind of changed, you've converted your whole body. Wonderful, but there needs to be a gauge.
Yeah.
Understand? It needs to be limited, and unfortunately, it's not going to be limited. Just getting worse and worse, and that's why I'm not on social media, and will not be. Only through maybe LinkedIn, so people could find me there.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, but besides Instagram, Facebook,
Not there.
not my playground. Yeah.
Okay. So for business reasons, people can contact you on LinkedIn. What is your name on LinkedIn? Is it just Chiliboy Ralepelle?
Correct.
Okay, cool. Listen, well, thanks again, man, and hope you have a good day and good weekend with the family.
No, thank you, and have a great weekend too.
Awesome. Cheers, brother.
Okay. Cheers.